So Anthropic is being used for military purposes. For example, it was used to extract, kidnap, choose whichever word your politics aligns with, Maduro from Venezuela in January 2026. I make this point because some people contest the idea that AI is being used for military purposes. Of course, it's going to be used for military purposes. It doesn't really matter how you categorize it. It's going to be used for things such as mass surveillance and lethal autonomous weapons, which means that you're removing humans from the kill chain. And the government says that use will be legal, but laws are too slow to keep up with mass surveillance technology and capabilities. The Anthropic CEO has had a meeting with Pete Hegseth and various members of the Pentagon, and has come out of that meeting in this past week saying that the company cannot in good conscience agree to the government's terms. So that implies that the government's intentions are nefarious. Now, we've traditionally been concerned about Chinese use of technology, not just AI, for nefarious purposes, but this adds to the argument that the US is just a nefarious player, and this poses a danger for all of us, really, because you've got the US tech stack, the Chinese will develop their own tech stack, and both are using their tech stacks for nefarious purposes, and the globe, the rest of the world, has been left helpless. The Chinese already have quite a good independent tech stack. In some regards, it's already better than the US tech stack, for example, in robotics. But once it completely catches up, compute-wise, AI-wise, then you will have two independent tech stacks that most of the world relies on. Now, Pete Hegseth, the Defense Secretary, has given a deadline for Anthropic to agree to his demands, and he's extending that out to the Pentagon's demands and the government's demands, but it's primarily his demands and the Trump administration's demands, I suppose. There are lots of entities, agendas, and people behind this too. So, for example, heads of corporations and so on. And Trump has designated Anthropic a supply chain risk and given all agencies and associated companies, I suspect, 6 months to phase it out. And the idea, I suspect, is that Anthropic has that 6-month period to come to an agreement. So this again is Trump using leverage. In essence, leverage to coerce. Now, this hasn't ever been done to an American company before. It's been done to Chinese and Russian companies and so on, but never to an American company. So it's also a signal to other technology companies that they should not disagree with Trump. So he's signaling to Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, Bill Gates, Google, the owners of all the foundation labs. And that's important because that means he has control of the hyperscalers, the three main hyperscalers that 80% of the West relies on, so AWS, Azure, GCP, and he also has control of the AI foundation labs upon which the whole AI ecosystem depends upon. Now, this is similar to what Putin did with Mikhail Khodorkovsky's company. That was a signal to all the oligarchs, because at one point in time, Mikhail Khodorkovsky was the most powerful oligarch, and it was a signal to all of the others that this too could happen to you, and so toe the line. And we say that Trump and authoritarian leaders follow Putin's playbook, and this is an example of that. It's also a threat to companies across the world. He's doing this to an American company. He's done this to Russian companies and Chinese companies. It's a generic signal around the world to all companies that these could be the consequences. And if we also add in Trump's tariffs to the equation, we see that he is threatening even countries with consequences should they disagree. Also, what's interesting is the method of attack, the method of demonization. Trump's posted on social media, he's called Anthropic a radical left woke company. So whenever you hear these terms, you just have to understand that they are terms that are used to weaponize. There's a whole dictionary of terms that are used to weaponize, call something a radical Islamic terrorism, and again, that's weaponization. Patriotism is also weaponized, so accuse somebody of being non-patriotic. So basically, how do you create a villain? Radical leftist, woke, Islamic, terrorist, unpatriotic. That's just some of the terms and ways to weaponize. And the danger of this sort of weaponization is huge. For example, it's being used to justify an imminent attack on Iran. Add into this that Larry and David Ellison own Oracle, and they've just made a deal for CBS, CNN, Paramount, HBO, Warner Brothers. And that's just the core of a tech, news, media, entertainment, TV ecosystem. And let's not forget social media. So, for example, TikTok, the Ellisons are involved in the ownership structure of that. And there are arguments that there was freer speech on TikTok when it was under complete Chinese ownership. Now, certain narratives are being pushed and other narratives are being minimized. And the importance of that is to do with information management. So we know that Ellison is very pro-Israel, pro-IDF. So all of the genocide in Gaza, the de facto annexation of the West Bank, just look up the UN's assessment of this and what they're doing to Francesca Albanese, debanking her and so on. All of that will be rubbed out of the media or minimized. So that's just one example of controlling the narrative. So it doesn't all seem to be heading in the right direction. You know, in this video, we're going over controlling Anthropic and by extension, the tech companies, sending a signal out to them, nefarious use of technology for military purposes, surveillance, autonomous weaponry that removes humans from the kill chain. You're controlling the media narrative and eliminating out from the narrative the wrongs that are being perpetrated, for example, the genocide in Gaza. It's not heading in the right direction. In fact, it's quite reasonable to say that it's heading into quite a dangerous and scary direction.